Mike Tomlin. We saw the Colts change their coordinator, saw the Ravens change their coordinator one year in December and won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
But Mike Tomlin just keeps doubling down. He is not making a change with Matt Canada. And my question to you, Hokie, would be, this is the worst Steelers offense since 1970 in points scored.
Yep.
It's last in the NFL.
Yep.
He's had a chance with a aging quarterback, a 30-year-old or so quarterback, and a rookie quarterback. None of that has worked. Is this going to harm Kenny Pickett and the younger players? Is it going to harm their development by having this coordinator here? And why is Tomlin doubling down?
I don't think that's going to hurt Kenny Pickett's progression. I really don't. He'll get through this year. What I think they need to do in the offseason is bring in, and I've said this before, just a big-time offensive coordinator or a position coach, a guy that has a proven record of developing quarterbacks. That's what Kenny Pickett needs if they want him to take the next step. In terms of Coach Tomlin keeping Matt Canada, listen, you go back and watch that film, and everybody can say what they want, but guys are open. Kenny's not seeing them. I mean, this game, Kenny missed throws. And so what? In third and 10, he has Pat Fryermuth open for first down. He sails the ball.
Airmailed it.
Is that on Matt Canada? You tell me. Right?
No.
On a third down, you have Deontay Johnson. He throws the ball to him. Yet Pat Fryermuth down the seam, wide open for a touchdown. He doesn't even look at him. Another time it's third down. He has the safety on the hash to his right. He throws the ball to George Pickens, who beat his man off the ball. Throw the ball up in the air, let him run under it. He throws the ball in a back shoulder fade when he has the guy beat. Ball's incomplete. That's not on Matt Canada. Those are plays that are called. That's not being executed, right? Yeah, the first play of the game, you have multiple times when they run the football. When Najee Harris gets the ball and Mason Cole gets beat on the snap, Jordan Davis just whoops him. That's not Matt Canada's fault. These guys need to block. So everybody wants to blame Matt Canada. I get it, but when you look at the film and you know how to watch film, like I played in the NFL for 11 years, I know how to watch film. When guys aren't executing, when things aren't getting done, how can you put that on Matt Canada?
So do you think Matt Canada has a good scheme, that he's a good NFL coordinator?
I don't think he has the best scheme, but it's good enough to, if the quarterback can see a guy open and hit him, they can score some points.
So what is this? I mean, Pickett has been disappointing to me, especially this last game. And at the end of the Miami game as well.
Yeah.
I mean, is there reason to be concerned about him?
I think
too
he's
early to give up on him.
I think he's a rookie. And listen, here's my problem. Steeler Nation wanted, and I fully believe this, wanted Mitch Trubisky to fail. And anybody that says they didn't, they're lying to themselves. They wanted Mitch Trubisky to fail so that Kenny Pickett could be the starting quarterback. And now be careful what you wish for. And I said that here on this radio. They wanted Kenny Pickett on the field, and look what happens. You got a rookie, and Coach Tomlin had a progression plan, and he was going to, he wanted to sit him the whole year, and circumstances led him to make this change.
Well, it sounds like you're blaming fans, but not Tomlin.
No, they made the change.
Tomlin made the change.
Listen, but let me finish my point. The fans here wanted him to start, and be careful what you wish for, because now you got him, and now you got a quarterback that's going through rookie aches and pains. It has these bumps in the roads. Now we talk about Tomlin. He made the change, whether it was because of what happened in the locker room or not. He made the change, and now you can't go back. You can't be bouncing around. You're going to hurt his confidence more by sitting him down, bringing him up, sitting down, bringing him up. You've got to let him go through these growing pains. And I believe that he's gonna be a good quarterback in the NFL. Is he going to be great? Is he going to be Ben Roethlisberger? Probably not. But is he going to be good enough to be a franchise quarterback? I think so. But you have to go through. So I can name players that have been on the Steelers who have had a tough first year. And the problem with him, with his situation, he doesn't have a top defense to lean on. He doesn't have a running game to lean on. They got nothing right now.
So
that kind of sums it up.
It sounds like you would extend Matt Canada then and keep him here after this year?
I said in the beginning, I would play this out, and then I would go look for a guy who has a true proven record of developing quarterbacks. I don't know if I'd stick with Matt. I think there's too much negativity and stuff that you don't want in the locker room. I think you need to get a fresh start. And I think it's about, talk about spark, talk about changing your, just changing the mentality a little bit, bringing in some new blood so you can get some new energy in the room.
Isn't this in the long run maybe going to help Pickett, though? I mean, maybe he's got in there a little sooner than you would hope to, but he's going to go through these growing pains and isn't going to make him better for next season, theoretically?
You would think so, right? You would think that we all
Take
agreed.
the lumps now and
we
get them out
all
of the way.
agreed earlier in the season on the radio show. We all agreed that he would grow faster. He would progress faster by being on the field. That's what we were saying, right? And not by watching. And there is an element of growth that takes place on the sideline without affecting your confidence. Now, when you go out there and you have 2 touchdowns and 8 picks and 1 fumble, you start to see ghosts, right?
Yeah, we saw a quarterback. Who
Sam
was that?
Darnold.
Sam
You see
Darnold.
ghosts.
I saw ghosts out there.
And you go out there and you have guys open, and all of a sudden you're pulling the ball down and you're running, or you're throwing the ball away, and because your internal clock gets messed up a little bit. And so these are things that he has to work through. He's an older guy. He's more mature, so I think he can work through these. And that's why I think as he goes through this bye week is going to be good for him to take a step back, because when you get in the middle of the season, Starkey, it's like bugs smashing on your windshield. Have you ever done that when you're driving on the highway and you got bugs smashing on your windshield? It's one after another.
Yes,
That's how it is. Like, you don't have time to think. Like, you're getting smashed on the windshield. You don't have time to move. I don't want to be that bug.
So was it best to put him in there? Will he benefit from this in the long run?
I think that time will tell. I think that the future will tell us if that was the right choice. I'm not sure right now.
Chris, what do you make of him saying we need to study more? To me, it's
Don't get me started on
it's
this.
poor reflection on Tomlin when you have Cam saying dysfunction everywhere, lack of discipline everywhere. Pickett saying we need to study more. Najee saying discipline, no discipline anywhere. First of all, I don't know if I like Pickett saying this stuff publicly. He's been here 3 weeks, 3 minutes. Cam's been around forever. I mean, your whole thought on the stuff that came out of that locker room after the game in Philly on Sunday.
Well, it wasn't
and
just
even Trubisky this week came out and said the same
but
thing.
it wasn't only after this game, Cook. I mean, Hayward's been sounding the alarm for weeks now. I know I've been talking on the radio show. I've been talking on post-game show with Bob, just things that are concerning me. And when you have players talking about guys not putting in the time, not preparing themselves for the game, lack of accountability, lack of discipline. I mean, I can see it on the film, but when you have guys now saying this, to me, it's a real problem. Real problem, right? We're professionals. We're not playing high school ball. We're not in college football where we're limited in the time that we can have down at the offices, at the facility to watch film or to study with the coaches. You're pros. You're being paid millions of dollars, right? And it's your responsibility to get yourself ready to play. And if you're not going to get yourself ready to play, then you're not a pro. Pros prepare. Pros go out in the field and they get their mind right so they can go out there and give the best every single week. Mr. Rooney's paying these guys millions of dollars. He expects them to go out there and play like pros and produce.
So you put it on the players themselves
100%.
or the coaches?
Who else you going to put? I want preparation. The coach, the players.
Mitch Trubisky's on the air saying the coaches have to hold these guys more accountable.
Sure,
they got
sure.
their backup quarterback ripping the coaches.
Well, but listen, you're a professional football player. You're not a high school kid. Nobody needs to micromanage you. You've got to take control of your own future, right? And if you keep doing what you're doing, you're not going to be in the league very long.
All right, then my question is, if you keep doing what you're doing, why are you still on the field?
That's another question. If these guys aren't accountable and they're not going out there, they're not disciplined, not doing the job, and you can talk about it across the board pretty much. I mean, Cam Hayward talking about eye discipline. I mean, listen, you watch the film, and there's guys that probably shouldn't be out there. I mean, they don't understand where they fit in the defense. You watch guys, they don't understand where the eighth defender is in the box in the run game. When Arthur Millette comes up, or you have a corner that's on on a side where there's no receiver and he's an additional man in the box in the run game, you've got to know that, and you've got to know where your help is and not play back into those guys where you have 3 guys outside of the run game. Everybody's got to be gap sound, and these guys don't know where they fit half the time.
But there's only so many changes you can make, right? The
Well,
roster's limited.
Well,
I mean, it's not like you're going to bring in guys from the outside. Now, they brought in Will Jackson. We'll see if
we'll
he
see what
helps.
happens there.
We'll see. I mean,
well, that's the thing of frustrating.
how do you hold these guys accountable?
Well, Coach Tomlin always talked about when I was there. There's things you can control and there's things you can't control. You can't control the weather. You can't control where you play. You can't control what time the game starts. But you can control your effort. You can control your conditioning. And you can control the mental mistakes. You can control knowing where you line up, where you go. If you get beat sometimes, hey, those guys are getting paid a lot too, so some guys are going to get blocked sometimes. It's going to happen from time to time. Even the All-Pros, even the Cam Haywards. We saw this past week, Minka Fitzpatrick gets beat, and he makes mistakes. All pro guys do that. But you should be able to be in good condition. You should be able to give good effort, and you should be able to line up and execute and not make mental mistakes. Sometimes in the blocking, you don't see the effort that you need. Sometimes that you out there, you see guys making mental mistakes. And you can't live with that. You can't live with things that guys can control.
Would you replace Kevin Dotson? I mean, you can always bench people,
Who are you going to put
right?
in there, though? Who are you going to put in there?
I don't know. Who's the backup? Kendrick Green?
If Kendrick Green was better than Dotson, he would be playing right now.
Okay, so Kevin Dotson can keep making mistakes, keep screwing up. I don't even know how.
Or you put Kendrick in there, and he keeps making mistakes. He keeps screwing up.
So then there's no accountability. Then guys can do whatever they want.
You hold guy to account, but if he can't get the job done, he can't get the job done.
Right.
So
but if there's nobody to replace him with, then how do you hold guys accountable as a coaching staff?
But here's the thing.
Why is Kendrick Green here
Kevin
then?
Dotson isn't the only problem.
He's an example.
He's an example, right? And he did get beat. He's the one this week that we can highlight because he gave up 2 sacks. 2 sacks.
He also gets an ineligible man downfield penalty every week.
James Daniels gets that that's James Daniels you're talking about. That's not Kevin Dotson.
I know. He only has
it's
3 of them.
78 that does that all the time. But what you're talking about, Dotson got beat twice by Javon Hargrave. Jay Wobble got from here, right? Everybody knows. And those were impact plays because it was a 2-score game. And then he gives up that sack fumble. 2 plays later, the Eagles go down. 3-score game out of it.
What does it say about their roster construction
That's
that
just
there's nobody to replace him?
It's a pretty poor roster construction.
We're going deep, man, here because there's a lot of problems here right now. And what it's telling you is that they don't have a guy, they don't have the depth to plug somebody in there and play over him. Because if they did, Dotson wouldn't be in there. And like I said, guys, I mean, it's everybody across the board. I mean, it's not just one guy. And that's I think the frustrating things for the coaches is you put these guys out there and they're getting beat. You know, they're making mental mistakes. They're not blocking the right guys. I mean, think about Najee. I mean, everyone wants to make a big deal about Najee, but Najee, on average, he gets 0.74 yards before contact. Okay, hello, and you're worried about this guy dancing? I mean, yeah, that 3rd and 2 when he got the ball in the flat, he had a lot of grass. He could have gone. This guy gets the ball and literally opens his eyes and
expects to get drilled. Yeah,
he's getting hit. What is this?
I think you talk about seeing ghosts. I think he's seeing ghosts on that
Yeah,
little pass in the flat.
That's why I think this bye week is really good because part of this can be stepping away from the game and clearing your mind. And like I said earlier, it's like a bug getting hit in the windshield, right? You all of a sudden you get nailed and you're splattered. These guys, it's like week to week. It's like boom, boom, boom. They're coming like rapid fire. And it's good to have a bye week to step back, take a deep breath, and reset your mind and refocus. And I really think you'll see a lot of these guys playing better after this bye week.
Can T.J. Watt lift up the whole defense?
100%. He's a difference maker, not only in his play, but just he gives greater confidence. And the attention that he gets from offenses opens up opportunities for everybody else. And these guys obviously have shown that they're struggling to beat one-on-one pass rushes. I mean, you look at Alex Highsmith. He benefits a lot from having TJ in there, but TJ also benefits from having a good pass rusher on the other side. If TJ was the only one on one side and didn't have an Alex Smith who's an above average pass rusher, he would get double teamed and he would get triple teamed. But you look at here in the last 5 games, Alex Highsmith, he only has 2 sacks. Right? He had 3 in the first game.
Leading the league for a while.
Yeah, he had 5. Well, because he bursted onto the scene in week 1 with 3 sacks, right? And then he had a week, a sack and a half after that, and then the last 5 games he's had 2 sacks. So what it shows you is that they're not winning the one-on-one battles, and they've got to be better at that. And there's other reasons why, but there's things there that they can improve on hopefully over this bye week.
Let me ask you a question, Dr. Hokenstein, and I want a good answer on this one. You give good answers to all of them.
I try.
But I want a good answer on this one. Chris Hoke brought to you by greenewaltroofing.com. It's 1:16. It's a good time to review your auto and home insurance with the Buell Insurance Agency in Gibsonia. Let's say the Steelers get a top 5 pick, okay?
Yep.
A top 5 pick. They're never in that land. We figured out,
Not
Ron
since
and
Bradshaw, 1970.
Not since Bradshaw.
Number 1.
Remember when Tom went up to Chase Young a couple of years ago on the sideline? Said we can never get a guy like you.
Get a guy like you. Yep.
They might be.
Yeah.
So let me ask you. No names here. Just a position. If you could have a game wrecker on your defensive line a premier pass blocker on your offensive line and road grader, because you get double when you're in the top 5. That's where you get the stars.
Yep.
An inside linebacker to run your defense, a shutdown corner. I think those are all the most reasonable things to draft. What position would you be most interested in?
Offensive lineman, offensive tackle that you could plug in for 12 years.
Skronsky, Ron.
Yeah, my guy at Northwestern. Sounds like Bronco Nagurski.
I mean, look at some of these guys they brought in that have played that, are any position, but I'd say offensive tackle. But look at some of the guys. Marquise Pouncey that came in. He wasn't a top 5 pick, but he was a guy in the first round. He played, 10-plus years at the center, held that center spot down. David DeCastro, when he came in, when he finally got him legs underneath him after a couple years, he was an all-pro guy at that guard spot. And you can go on and on and on about guys that they've drafted. And if you can get a guy in the first, you need offensive linemen. And you need a guy that can protect the backside of your quarterback, especially if you have a franchise quarterback. I could see the Steelers, though, trading back and getting multiple picks. Because there's a lot of holes on this team right now.
Man, they need defensive linemen, too.
They do. And you look at that right now, I mean, it's a struggle on the D-line. I mean, Cam Hayward's out there working his tail off, and, his numbers aren't where he would like them to be right now. He's drawing a lot of attention. But outside of him, they've just got to improve in beating one-on-one blocks. And they're not getting off blocks right now, whether it's in their pass game or the run game. And so they do need some help there as well.
You mentioned a very interesting number with Harris and Warren, and I've been maintaining all week. I like how fast Warren hits the line. I do.
Yeah.
But I think 39 or 31 of his 50 yards the other day were on, they tricked him on draw plays. It was 35-13. Yeah. Here's another interesting number. Brooke Pryor, ESPN. Najee has faced a stacked box of 8 or more defenders 21 times.
Yep.
Warren has faced that 3 times.
Yep.
So a lot of his carries, Chris, are coming against defense packages, right?
I agree with you. Another stat here is that they've both faced 6-man boxes, but, of course, Najee's done it much, much more than Warren because he has more carries. 22% of the time, Najee faces a 6-man box. 51% of the time, Warren faces a 6-man box. So he's facing a guy. When he gets in there, they say, "Oh, we're going to shut down Najee because they want to go with the ball with him, and we'll live with Kenny Pickett sailing the ball, piecemealing it, right?" And you look at it right now, I think they're a good 1-2 punch. And you're right. When you look at that, Warren does look like he's the more explosive player. He does look like he's being more productive, but it's deceiving. And I think Eddie Faulkner alluded to that this week in his comments in his interview, that you got to be careful to look at this thing the way you're looking at it through that lens, because Najee is facing a much more difficult challenge. He's facing a much more uphill battle. 0.7 yards before first contact, Najee Harris. 2.2 yards for Jaylen Warren. So what happens is Jaylen Warren has 2 yards to gain momentum and see and feel. Najee Harris get the ball, boom, you're getting hit. That's how it is.
Seeing ghosts, it looks like his confidence is shot too.
Yeah. That's why I think this bye week is going to be really good. I think it is. And what's the prime example of him seeing ghosts, Cookie, is that 3rd and 2 when Kenny threw the ball up in the flat. He had a ton of yards in front of him to get the first down. He danced. Because that's the first thing. Think about it.
He's figuring he's got to dance.
He turned around and he danced because 0.74 yards after he gets the ball, he's getting hit. So he's thinking, I got to make somebody miss instead of putting the foot in the ground and go. And that's where he's got to get back to. That's the kind of player he is. He'll get back to. I don't think this is going to ruin him. I read something this week about Derrick Henry, how the first couple years Derrick Henry struggled. Here's another thing. They're only giving Najee the ball 8 carries a game. Give him the ball 25 times a game. You got a rookie quarterback. Give him the ball 25 and let him be a workhorse and let him work his way in.
Cowher said that after the game.
Hey, listen, I played for Coach Cowher for, 6 years, 5 years, 6 years? I played for Coach Cowher 6 years and Coach Tomlin 5 years, or vice versa. But here's the deal. I remember being there in the meeting the night before the game. And Coach Cowher would say, and I've said this before on this radio show, he'd say, guys, we're going to run the ball, and we're going to run the ball in the first quarter. We may get 2 or 3 yards a carry. But we're going to keep running the football, and we're going to run the ball in the second quarter. We may get 3 or 4 yards a carry. But by the third quarter, we're going to get 6, 7, 8 yards a carry. It's a mentality. You line up and keep pounding the football.
But what if your offensive line stinks, Hokey?
Because
what do you do?
Because they're not focused, and they're not making running the ball a priority. They are we're going to run the ball at a 2-point stance. We're not going to line up and try to knock you off the ball. That's just not their identity. And I think with a rookie quarterback right now, where he's averaging, close to 50 throws a game in his 3 full games, right?
Too much. That's what
Too
Cowher
much.
said.
And so rely on I think if you gave Najee 25 carries a game and leaned on that running game, I think he would be much more productive. He'd get into a rhythm. You can't get into a rhythm with 8 runs. You can't get any kind of rhythm. The offensive line can't get any kind of rhythm. Let's line up and just pound the ball. And not everybody's excited about that. People want to throw the ball down the field. I know that. But that's how we've always won here in Pittsburgh. Running the football and playing tough, hard-nosed defense.